It looks like the Eagles' two main concerns heading into 2024 could be fixed way easier than any of us could have expected, with Darius Slay giving a little inside scoop on how new linebacker Devin White has looked so far this offseason, plus a wide receiver trade that could be a major difference in a deep playoff run. Oh, and I kind of got to hang out with a bunch of Eagles stars this weekend, and yeah, one of them said he's a big fan of my show.
You a fan of the show?
Huge fan of the show.
Huge fan of the show?
When the guys running the DeVonta Smith celebrity softball game this weekend reached out to me a few months ago about, hey, come out to Philadelphia, give you a press pass, get to hang out on the sideline, I had no idea what to expect. Like, sure, media passes grant you a little bit more access than just a regular ticket, but I was absolutely blown away by how incredible this weekend was. Which, if you aren't following me on Instagram, you probably didn't see all of my behind-the-scenes videos, so go to my Instagram right now, link in the description box, and definitely give it a follow. But basically on Saturday, I had a short 5 a.m. flight from Atlanta to Philadelphia, and then I found myself on the field for the entire celebrity softball game with way more access than I expected. And easily the best part was meeting all of you guys. I mean, I had my name yelled at me from the stands basically the entire day, took a ton of pictures with not just the winners of the ticket giveaway that we did to meet DeVonta Smith on Saturday or just go to the game in general, but a lot of you guys who were just there and fans of the show and told me that in person, took pictures, signed a bunch of autographs. It was absolutely incredible seeing each and every one of you guys, and it meant a ton to me to meet you. The day started out as I kind of expected. They took all of us media and put us in a corner away from all the players during the home run derby, which new fan favorite Isaiah Rodgers did end up winning, by the way. And yes, Isaiah is super cool in person. It was very fun to get to meet him for the first time and chat about a bunch of stuff during the course of the day. But once the teams were split up and everyone kind of went onto the football field to get the actual softball game going, I got to hang out on the same bench as Jalen Hurts, DeVonta Smith, AJ Brown, and Saquon Barkley for like 2.5 hours. Like, look, I was right there, as shown by King DV's video from the stands down the third base line, just kind of hanging out, enjoying the day. Now, the first person I talked to was the biggest one. It was Jalen Hurts. I just walked up to Jalen and asked for a picture, and he was nice enough to go ahead and take this one, although he didn't smile, as you guys noted on my Twitter account, although, trust me, he was smiling the entire day and having a lot of fun, just, I guess, not in this picture. He was probably the quietest of all the Eagles I talked to, but overall, very, very generous and very nice to go ahead and snap a pic. The craziest part about the whole Jalen Hurts in-person thing was just witnessing what life is like as QB1. The fans are yelling his name the entire time. He signed like a bajillion autographs. People are freaking out left and right. It's gotta be a crazy burden to really be the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles, but he definitely had that superstar aura around him, which was really cool to see. Now next, I walked up to AJ Brown, and the interaction I had with him probably made my entire life as I walked up, and he first off just stopped me and said, "Hey, I know who you are," and I was like, wait, like, you actually know who I am? He said, yeah, I watch your show all the time. You do a really good work, which, as you would expect, completely stunned me. And so I got a picture really quickly, and then I flipped my camera to video and was like, hey, can we get the video of that? Because people aren't going to believe me. But in my excitement, I stopped recording a little too early, so I still got him to say it on camera, but this was the result.
You a fan of the show?
Huge fan of the show.
Huge fan of the show?
Having the Eagles star receiver and maybe the best receiver in football tell you that he knows who you are and watches your show is definitely a top 5 life moment for me. Like, it was way cooler than I could have ever expected. But I talked to AJ a couple more times throughout the entire course of the softball game, and he was awesome. He was so nice. He was so genuine. He genuinely seemed to know who I was. And the fact that media tried to paint this guy as like a diva or somebody who didn't want to be in Philadelphia is just unbelievable once you hang out with him in person, because he was probably the nicest player that I met the entire day, super generous with his time, and overall a really cool guy. And of course, yes, I did ask AJ if he wants to come on the show, and he did say yes, he just doesn't know when he can do it, so hopefully sometime soon we'll get AJ on the show. We're working on a lot of other player interviews, but be subscribed for that because it's going to happen. Now next, I talked to Saquon Barkley, who was also very, very nice, and yes, his quads are even bigger in person than I expected. We chatted for a couple of minutes about his golf handicap, which he said was a 14 right now, and I told him to get a simulator in his house, which he said he's working on, but overall, really, really cool guy, and awesome to have Saquon Barkley in Eagles green this year. Oh, and he also confirmed that he doesn't really care about all of the crying Giants fans out there, which was pretty cool as well. Next, I ran into Zech McPherson, which was pretty cool because I interviewed Zech McPherson on my channel just a couple of days ago, and he was awesome. Remembered me, asked me how I was, how the family was, and also said he's feeling really, really good and is close to 100% coming back from that Achilles injury. So, big fan of Zech. Zech apparently watched the interview, and shout out to him. I really hope he has a good year. Finally, got to hang out with Brandon Graham for a little bit, and he, of course, recognized us because we just interviewed him a couple of days ago on the channel. And yes, if you thought he was nice in our interview, he's even nicer in person, and he stayed out longer than any other Eagle fan, signing a bajillion autographs, and also confirmed to myself and Josh that he is getting the Eagle jersey signed for our giveaway coming up in a couple of weeks, which you need to be sub for, and go in the link in my description down below to figure out how to enter to maybe win that jersey as well. The only player I didn't get to talk to was DeVonta Smith, but being that it was his event, he was surrounded by people the entire day and seemed very busy, and so didn't really want to force my way and bother him, but kind of bummed that I didn't get to talk to DeVonta. Smitty, though, did have the perfect response to a question about Nick Sirianni's role this season by telling the media pre-game, quote, "When the head man has the power to put his hands on everything, to see everything, it makes it easier on himself, makes it easier on us, because sometimes what we may see, he may not see because he was focused on something, on just one thing so much." All in all, it was an awesome day. I loved meeting you guys. I got to do more events out in Philadelphia so we can all hang out. Maybe some stuff during the season, during games. Who knows? I'll work on that. But in the end, I think the most fun part was at the very end when Brandon Graham was signing a bunch of autographs, and I saw one of my fans in the stands who called me over and said, "Hey, Thomas, could you get my football signed by Brandon Graham?" And I was like, "Sure." And so I took his football, got it signed, brought it back. But then I didn't realize that I had unlocked Pandora's box, because then like 30 kids around that one kid was like, "Hey, can you see it? My football signed, my jersey signed." And so I was running back and forth carrying footballs and hats and jerseys to go ahead and give to AJ Brown and give to Brandon Graham. And so sorry if I didn't get your thing signed. I tried to get as many things as I possibly could. Had to say no eventually, not just to kind of bother the guys on the field. But again, overall, it was a super fun day, and I appreciate all you guys coming out, and I can't wait to go back hopefully next season. Now, in terms of actual real Eagle news over the weekend, we did get the official list of Kelly Green jersey games, which will now be Week 9 Sunday Night Football against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and then, how about this, Week 17, of course in Philly, versus the vaunted division rival Dallas Cowboys. Now, I was at the Dolphins game last year for the first ever Kelly Green game, and it was absolutely awesome in person. Cannot recommend it enough. I think the Week 17 game versus Dallas, maybe NFC East on the line. It's going to be must-see TV. The jersey combo is going to be fantastic. And hopefully sending the Cowboys packing on their way not to winning the division or going to the postseason. This weekend, we also got to see Darius Slay on Chris Long's Green Light podcast. And boy, Chris Long did not hold back on his praise for Jalen Carter, even going as far as to say he might become the greatest defensive tackle of all time.
Yeah, I love the moves how he made this offseason. One of the moves I loved the most they made a couple years ago was Jalen Carter, because I think Jalen Carter can be special with the capital S. And when I watch him, he's a guy that makes me want to put my pads on, join the team again, so I can be like, you could be the best ever. You know, you're that good. You could be one of these guys they talk about like the best Eagle D lineman of all time. He's that talented.
Yeah, he's very good.
I mean, he made some rushes. There was a rush in the Seattle game that was, I mean, it's just the guys winning that quick are only the best in the league. And the attention that people pay to him already, well, now it's going to be even more with Fletch and those guys moving on.
Now, to be fair, Carter's rookie season did have some incredible highs, especially early on in that Rams game. But I think the Aaron Donald comparisons are still a little bit premature. Like, we got to remember, Aaron Donald did have 9 sacks his rookie season and 59 sacks through his first 5 years. Carter has a long way to go to reach those numbers or even get close to that comparison, but I think Chris Long is more focusing on the fact that the eye test tells you Carter has the skill set and the potential to be great, which I agree with. Here's to hoping he can dominate in 2024 and really help that young defensive line be even better than all of us expected. Now, I've also long said that linebacker is probably my biggest concern for the Eagles right now, and everyone apparently seems to agree. Like, even PFF ranked the Eagles linebacker core 3rd worst in the NFL heading into 2024. Still, though, it feels like the entire linebacker group's success is going to come down to one man. That's Devin White. If White balls, they all will. If White struggles, then it's going to be a long season yet again for the linebackers. Still, though, I think Chris Long and Darius Slay talking about Devin White has to excite all of us just a little bit.
Oh, man, great, man. He's very athletic, man, faster than what you think. Big guy, too. So, man, I was excited about that signing. I kind of had a vision. Right after we kind of played Tampa a little bit, I said, man, if Devin become a free agent, I could see him coming over here just because it feel like it's a fit for him. You know, we need a linebacker because, you know, you've been here.
Yeah.
We know we D-line driven.
Always.
You know, so it's D-line driven. So they just need the linebackers to be able to hit and run. And he does a good job of that. And he can cover. So that's one thing I think besides, like, you know, we had TJ. You know, TJ Edwards I think he was amazing. Him and Kaiser was an amazing combination of like running, hitting, and cover. So I think Howie did a great job of finding that with Devin White.
How much faith do you guys have in Devin White, or I guess the linebackers in general? Let me know down below in the comment section. Are you trending towards glass half full, glass half empty? I'm going to read and see where you guys are at. Now, the other concerning spot for me, at least recently, I think has to be wide receiver 3. And now, sure, training camp is going to hopefully relieve all of our concerns because either Paris Campbell or Johnny Wilson or Anais Smith will ball out, and then boom, no worry there at wide receiver. But what happens if they don't, and you have kind of a massive hole behind A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith? If you have some sort of crazy injury, knock on wood, like heaven forbid, the depth of receiver without a strong number 3 candidate will be very, very thin. That's why when Bleacher Report listed Seattle Seahawks wide receiver Tyler Lockett as a trade candidate, it kind of got me thinking. Could a trade for Lockett, or at least a player similar to Lockett, make some sense for the Birds? And I think the answer is yes. For one, he's not that expensive. 2 years left on his contract right now with what, $6 million base salary in 2024 and a $10 million base salary in 2025? That's pennies for a good receiver. And yes, his age is a little bit on the upper side, but Lockett's been a catch machine every single season since being drafted in 2015. He's incredibly versatile. He can line up in the slot, outside, catch across the middle, even go over the top of defenses. Seattle's also in kind of this weird year where they get a first-year head coach and probably the last year of Geno Smith. Feels like a major rebuild could be happening next spring, and you don't really want to have expensive, at least $10 million in 2025, and older wide receivers on the roster for what really will be a rebuild for Seattle. Seattle could trade Lockett for a mid-round draft pick, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, whatever it is, recoup the draft capital, also save on the cap space as well, and then, of course, rebuild in 2025 with their younger core like Jackson Smith and Jiba and DK Metcalf. Now, I've said it before, I hate whenever random websites just say, hey, trade candidate, and then the Eagles get tied to that candidate, and then content creators and website people and radio people go, Eagles trading for this player with a question mark to kind of hide the fact that it's super clickbait, but not what I'm trying to do here. It just got me thinking a wide receiver 3 might be something you trade for either during training camp, if you look at the wide receiver 3s on the roster and you're like, they're not that great, or maybe the trade deadline, you get to week 8 and you go, yeah, we need a little bit more firepower on an already stacked offense, then a call to Seattle, a trade for Lockett, it could make some sense. Now, it is July, and so training camp starts on the 23rd, couple of dead weeks in between. We're still going to give you guys a ton of fun content. Be sure to go ahead and subscribe and stay tuned. Again, appreciate you guys coming out to the Smitty softball game over the weekend. Fun meeting everybody. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. I'm Thomas Mott. This has been the Thomas Mott Show.